There are two great tricks played upon the human psyche that forms the reality of the external world. These are conformity to assumption and confirmation of expectation. To conform is to form that which is contrary to what is. It is a trick of the mind, rendering attention and focus on conforming to what should be, while disengaging from what is, by a form of cognitive denial. When a collective discontentment with the status quo becomes the status quo, the mind adapts and conforms to that which could be in the vain attempt to avoid and deny what is. Based upon the assumption that what is not what should be, we confirm this with periodic justification of that which is conformed to by its assumed value, that there is something better. Being discontent with that which is becomes a state of being within itself, and the paradigm of discontent with what is compared to that which could be emerges as the constant state of the mind. Emphasis on conforming to what is, not by unconscious denial of what is, frames the mind with the should-dos in order to become what should be. And the first great justification emerges as the concept of normalcy. Normality, or being normal, could be defined as a value attributed to the ability to conform to this assumption, and all value is measured as a result by this vast assumption. The acts that follows therefore justify the means by which they were obtained. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy engendered by the mind based upon the first assumption. Deviations from the values rendered by the normalization process are treated as abnormalities in the process of self-identification with the external. Laws, rules, and social norms become the self-justification for cultural development, emphasizing the normalization process, and conformity becomes the status quo of the mind. Confirmation becomes the process of justification, as it reinforces the original assumption by denying all that is contrary to it. What we regard as true is simply a rendering in the mind of what is compared to what could be. Conformity, then, is objectification of subjective consciousness responsible for identity, and the actions that reinforce the norm become the self-fulfilling confirmation. The process of conforming, followed by confirming, rather than the reverse, becomes the norm, the modus operandi, to reinforce the false identity of self with an objective self that is based completely upon the first assumption, becomes the status quo, the truth of the reality we embrace as so. We are tricking ourselves into believing that objective consciousness is the main driver of human identity when it comes to human self-consciousness. It is misguided on the premise of assumption, and leads away from a truth that is in alignment with what is, rather than a misalignment with what is not. By engaging this mindset of reality, we determine its consequences in alignment with a truth that is rendered by it. The current model of human society, based upon this assumption and conformity, reveals what we imbue with as value, ultimately determines the scope and depth of what we receive from it.